Budgeting 201, How to stay on track and stick to your budget. It's not enough to make a budget, you must ensure you stick to it and don't overspend. To do this, you need to consider non-recurring expenses. These are the expenses that only happen a few times a year, and keep money aside for them. 1. Build a reserve. Consider future expenses and put money aside for them. The most common mistake people make is to only budget for everyday expenses like food and utilities and to forget about other expenses that come every few months, like education fees, holidays, gifts, taxes, and insurance invoices. If you don't put money aside for them every month, you will not be able to pay for them when the time comes, and you'll have to borrow money. Remember, borrowing money costs money. So you need to put aside money for these expenses. We call it a reserve, so it's not mixed up with your savings. To calculate them, you need to make a yearly budget. Draw some lines in your notebook to make 3 columns. In the first column, write a heading saying, Expenses I plan to pay for, or buy in the future. For the second column, write the heading, Total amount per year. And for the last column, write the heading, Amount I need to put aside each month. In the first column, write down expenses you plan to pay for, or buy in the future. This could include education fees, insurance invoices, clothing, gifts, and holidays. Next, write down in the second column the total amount you plan to spend on each expense over the year. For example, the total amounts could be $600 for education fees, for insurance invoices $120, $120 for clothing, $120 for gifts, and $1,200 for holidays. In the third column, write down how much money you need to put aside each month to have a reserve for when you need to pay for these expenses. To do this, you need to divide the totals from the second column by 12 so that you have a monthly amount. So for education fees, it's $600 divided by 12. This equals $50. You need to put aside $50 per month to have a reserve for this expense. For insurance, it is $120 divided by 12. This equals $10 to put aside each month. For clothing, divide $120 by 12. This is $10 to put aside each month. Gifts is also $120 divided by 12, equaling $10 to put aside each month. For holidays, $1,200 is budgeted per year, so $1,200 is divided by 12. This equals $100 to put aside each month. 2. Your complete monthly budget. When doing your budget for the first time, you must consider the due dates for the payments you must cover. For example, if Anna needs to pay $600 each year for her children's education fees, the education fees are divided into 2 terms, $300 in 3 months' time, and $300 in 9 months' time. For the first 3 months, she will have to put aside more money to meet her payment obligations, $100 for the first 3 months, because 300 divided by 3 months equals $100. After that, Anna will need to put aside $50 for the next 6 months, because 300 divided by 6 months is $50 per month. As she will have already started her reserve for the following years, she should be able to pay those large amounts at the required due dates by putting aside $50 monthly. Let's review Anna's budget to include all these future expenses, her reserves. The reserve amounts will appear in blue in her budget. In Anna's monthly budget for March, she adds reserves to her category column. She writes the subheadings, education fees, insurance, clothing, gifts, and holidays. She writes down in the budget column the amounts she calculated for her monthly reserves. She adds $100 to the budget column for education fees, $10 for insurance invoices, $10 for clothing, $10 for gifts, and $100 for holidays. When Anna recalculates her total, her monthly budget is now $1,230. This is higher than her salary. Anna needs to review her budget and cut some expenses. She needs to prioritize necessary expenses such as education fees and insurance. Let's look at what Anna can change so her budget total is the same as her monthly income. Anna will need to reduce the amount she has budgeted for savings this month, from $30 to $1. Anna reduces her monthly remittances by a small amount to $189. She will reduce her budget for meals to $50, and she will not spend money on entertainment or other personal expenses. Anna also changes her reserves budget. For March, she will budget $100 for education fees and $10 for insurance. Now Anna's total budget equals $1,000, the same as her salary. Well done, Anna! She has avoided taking a new loan and falling into a debt cycle. Anna must remember to adjust her reserves next month, because she did not put money aside for some future expenses this month. Be wise with your reserve. The best way to be wise with your reserves is to keep this money aside in a separate bank account or envelope, so that you are not tempted to spend it. Ideally, it's not in the same account as your savings. Otherwise, it is difficult to differentiate your savings from your reserves. For expenses paid by your family, such as education fees, you will send these amounts to your family only when they need to be paid, so they are not tempted to spend it before.